So I just finished a show that has been in my life for about the past 5 or 6 years. And that show is Outer Banks. Now, this was the last season, and it's a bit of a bittersweet moment. You know? More bitter than sweet in my personal opinion. You know, I really like this show. You know, in my personal opinion, I think this is probably the best action and adventure show that I've seen. Granted, I haven't seen too many of, action and adventure shows, but this one would be hard to beat, right? And I'm not saying it's the greatest show ever. I'm not sitting here saying that because I'd be a liar, right? And anybody that told you that Outer Banks is the best show ever, that would be a liar. Let's just keep it real, right? The show was amazing, but there were a lot of ups and downs, right? I mean, for God's sakes, they brought somebody back with a handkerchief, right? And there was a lot of outlandish things this season, okay? A lot of blasphemy. But when you look at the show and take it for what it truly is, a fiction, kind of fantasy in a sense show, nothing but pure fiction, you start to appreciate it and really take it in for what it is, right? Now, we have a lot of live action fiction shows similar to Outer Banks that don't do a good job like Outer Banks does, right? A lot of the scenarios are very unrealistic and, over the top, but at least they look good doing it, right? This show had some of the best action and just overall views that you could possibly imagine, right? I think they pull off hurricanes really well. They pull off all of these fight scenes really well. The traveling across the globe really well. And, it's something like every season is a new adventure, but it's all interconnected, right? But you're in somewhere else. And I think they did a really good job all in all throughout the show of doing that, right? But this is to talk about season 5. I really liked it. I think this was probably my second favorite season out of all of them. A close second behind the first season. But with that being said, there were some problems that I had and there were some good, right? Now, I'm gonna start off by saying this. These guys are terrorists to their own city. Okay, let's just call it what it is. I have never seen them out of trouble or not get themselves in trouble. They literally are the definition of trouble. Chaos, havoc. Anything they do leads to some type of destruction or utter destruction of peace for other civilians in the Outer Banks or in an outlying city, all right? They are the worst people to have in your city, top one. Bar none, they are the worst people to have in your city. They're causing explosions. It's not just shootouts and fights. It's explosions, theft, death, Grand Theft Auto, Grand Theft fucking flying, whatever you want to call that. Killing the cops. Bro, it's everything. Everything that's associated to bad, smuggling drugs, everything, bro. They bring that shit. And they bring it to wherever in the world they are. I mean, for God's sakes, bro, they went to Azerbaijan and blew up a damn mountain. Crushed the whole bridge, bro. And they are the grimiest people you will ever see. They're not afraid to steal, fuck somebody over, lie. Like, they are not some people you really want to cross. I'll keep it a bean, bro. They're not somebody you want to share a city with. This was one of the grimiest seasons ever. Like, I'm dead serious. And the villains were good. I really did like the villains. Groff, he is a conniving ass motherfucker. Like, straight up. He might be one of the best villains that I've seen in a Netflix show. Because he is so grimy. He is so two-faced, and he does it to perfection. Like, he brings like this annoyance to the show that really gets under your skin even as a viewer. And I appreciate that. It annoys the hell out of me because I go into each episode and I'm like, this nigga pisses me off. But that's really a testament to how good his acting really is. How good he portrays that character, how well they bring it to life. So, I really enjoyed what he brought to this season. He did a fantastic job, in my personal opinion, at playing a weasel, a weak little weasel that's conniving and a bitch at heart. Now, one thing I'll say that I wasn't a fan of in this season is how they portrayed Finch, right? The way that they portrayed him, he's this big, bad, unstoppable dude, big army and everything like that. And we really saw none of that. He's always traveling with like these 8 guys and, back on the base. He has a whole fucking army base, which you think is probably flooded with his soldiers or whatnot. But he's always getting beat. Like, he's always messing up, right? His plan of escape is always getting derailed some way, somehow. When it's time for battle, they're nowhere to be found, right? It's him and like 4 other guys. They can't even take on, they have guns and everything like that, and they can't even take on kids that are unarmed. So I think they did him a bit of a disservice this season and how, pretty much useless he was. Yes, he stole the crown and he held it for a majority of the time in this season, but he just never really did anything too eventful. He didn't really have any major moves. I think Groff, who was pretty much for the most part a one-man team, did more damage in terms of like psychological and physical impact to, the Pogues through the whole season. Groff did more damage, had more of an impact on this season than somebody who got all these soldiers, and who had a real serious motive. He wanted to bring back his daughter. But a lot of the times when he's on screen fighting, he's not even the main one doing shit. You know, he's just commanding everyone around like a bitch. And not to mention, he has bad decision making. He wanted to drive right past the rocks and he got his team almost killed, bro. He got stuck in the van when everyone else could get out. Kiara ripped the bag from his hands. Like, bro, aren't you a grown-ass man, bro? Aren't you a grown-ass man that's supposed to be, you know, controlling an army? It doesn't make any sense to me. So I think they messed up with his character per se, because he's portrayed to be like this menace. Like, he's supposed to be a bigger threat than Groff, and he got knocked off the chessboard before Groff, right? He just showed too much vulnerability in his character that I don't think was warranted. And yeah, I think it was a big missed opportunity in the season for sure. And his henchmen are pretty useless. They're always like, oh, what do you want me to do, boss? Like that girl. It's like, what do you want me to do, boss? Do you want me to go get him? Just say the word. She didn't do shit this whole season, really. So yeah, that was a bit disappointing, I can't lie. And as far as the main cast goes, there were some ups and downs. In the beginning of the season, I was cringing a lot at a lot of the faces that they were making. Kiara had me pissed the whole season. The whole season. And you can say that this whole season is Kiara's fault, right? Because she carried the strong vengeance, which is fine. You know, I agree with that. She should have that strong vengeance. And if I was in her place, I would do that too. But when she had the opportunity in episode 2 to kill Groff, she just froze. And everything went to shit after that. Literally everything. And what pissed me off about Kiara is that she froze, and then afterwards she tried to act so tough. Like, all of these scenes with her like fidgeting with a gun, fidgeting with a knife, or like mean mugging the camera and shit. I was like, man, get your ass out of here with that. Like, miss me with that. You had the one opportunity and you froze, right? And I know she did it towards the end of the season. She made up for it, but again, she put herself in a near-death situation, dragging other people to possible death to come and rescue her in the open ocean of a Category 5 hurricane. She had all that time when he was loading up the boat to go there and handle business, but she waited until he, you know, pulled off the dock, jumped on, and then waited until they're in dangerous waters. You know, her decision making was just awful this season, and I found myself extremely annoyed at you know, her character the whole entire time. And you know, she just was so selfish the whole time, right? She got the crown taken up. I know they found the gold, but they could have had even more loot if she hadn't been so selfish and wanted to go and, you know, revive JJ, right? The magic powers that the crown had were obviously bullshit, and all she got from the crown was what she was getting all the time. Just more overpowered memories, more vivid memories, right? Literally everything that she was getting in her dreams, awake, you know, night and day, all day, every day, just thinking about JJ, the memories that we saw how many times throughout this season, which I thought was a bit overplayed. Like, I get it, the nigga died. You don't have to show us this backstory of him saving the dolphin with her that many times. Might I add, those were perfect casting for them when they were younger, because if they were kids, that's exactly how they would look. So I think they did a really good job casting that. But it's like, come on, bro, you're that selfish to where you wanted to do this? I get you wanted to see and everything like that, but even after she had the vivid memories of what bringing them back to life really was, she just waited there, sat there, you know what I'm saying, for all the other mercenaries to come and get her, putting everyone in danger yet again. So, you know, she's the goofball of the season, in my personal opinion. She had a really crafty move in seducing that dude, stealing his phone, but then, of course, stupid Kiara puts the phone down on the step for some reason. So, you know, it's very clear that she knows about the plans about Groff meeting the woman that eventually got knocked off, who was going to give him money for the crown, or like verify that the crown was real. So Kiara was definitely my least favorite part of this season, 100%. But I thought everybody else did really good, you know? In the beginning of the season, it was a bit shaky because it was still enjoyable, but just how they had the characters acting, a lot of the facial expressions were just not doing it for me. You know, and I'm glad everybody got a happy ending. To be honest with you, like, yeah, they're responsible for all that nonsense and whatnot, but if you're gonna go through all that struggle to, you know, get back the gold and the crown and everything like that, and you got someone as stupid as Kiara on your team and JJ holding you back for 4 seasons, I'm glad that, you know, all of them got a happy ending, at least. You feel what I'm saying? Because, man, imagine if it all ended up failing, bro. That would have been the biggest letdown. I'm glad that Rafe got a happy ending too. He's been my favorite character since probably season 1. His mannerisms, his facial mannerisms are hilarious, bro. He always looks like he's coked out. He always looks like he's high on something, bro, and he's just tweaking. But it's so funny because he's this sporadic character that's always gonna bring some type of, you know, drama and tension to the show, some type of action. And he's just funny as shit, like, all in all. His facial mannerisms will have you crying of laughter. You gotta pay attention. But yeah, I'm glad that, you know, I'm glad that everything he did pretty much worked out to the T this season, and he got to escape. You know, my boy got to escape. Now he's in South Carolina banging the baddest girl on OBX, straight up. You know, if he would have came back, the group would have just sunk deeper than the gold was in the ocean. Honest to God, JJ has always been the downfall of that group, Yes, he's had his clutch moments. He's always, you know, willing to risk it for the biscuit. But if it's not John B getting him in these situations, it was always JJ. You know, he's too sporadic, impatient, and capitalizes on these bad, intrusive thoughts way too often. And when he died, I thought it was the best thing for the group. I know that's going to be a really hot take probably, and you know, a lot of people were probably pissed when he didn't come back and it was just memories. Trust me, I was pissed as well, but when I thought about it a little bit more, I'm like, why would it be? I sat down after the episode finished and I'm like, wait, why would it be a good thing if he came back? What has he really done? You know, like I said, I know he's clutched up, but all in all, he's a liability to the group. He's literally like a cancer, bro, and he needed to be removed. You know, this season you still had all this constant tension and stuff, but it wasn't as bad, I don't think, as the other seasons when JJ was alive. But all in all, I really think they finished this season strong. There was no dull moments at all. You know, in a few of the other seasons, there were some characters that you really just don't care about getting so much screen time. But this season, every single scene I felt like contributed to furthering the plot in a really intriguing and interesting way. Even when the stepmom, Rose, her name, even when Rose was on screen, I was like, okay, you know, she has some good scenes. You know, I think everybody did a pretty good job acting-wise, opposed to a few corny, cringy lines and, you know, the facial expressions being off. I think it was good, and I think the journey was good, you know? Getting it back in blood for JJ, you know, the whole moral of this season, it ended up working out. It ended up working out. Everybody got a happy ending. I'm still mad that Kiara is the one to have done it because literally she brought all of this upon herself and the whole crew this season. But, you know, it was fun. The journeys were extremely fun. The cop chases were extremely fun. All of the little antics within OBX, like when Rafe was getting in fights at the bar, you know, things of that nature. When John B found the weed and he had to get the $70,000 or return the pack back, you know, when he was robbing Rafe's house. All of that was extremely interesting to me. Like, this was probably, other than season one, definitely the most captivating and interesting and immersive season out of OBX out of all of them. You know, so I really appreciate them closing it off on a good note. You know, I literally just finished the show, so I haven't seen any outside reception or anything like that, if people liked it or hated it. But, you know, my initial reactions, I don't really have any problems, right? Obviously, it's not the greatest storytelling. It's really good. It's not the greatest, but they did what they did. And like I said, a lot of people might be like, oh, this shit is so unrealistic, this, that, and the third. There's so much convenience in the show. Do you understand what you're watching? You know what I'm saying? You're not watching a reality TV show. You're watching Outer Banks, one of the most fictitious shows that there is out there. You know, so of course there's going to be convenience, and of course there's going to be over-the-top, unrealistic scenarios. That's just what the show's premise is, right? That's what, you know, you're going to get that from season to season. These guys are going out in the middle of the ocean, through a hurricane, they're blowing up mountains, traveling the world, cop chases left and right, fights left and right, you know, they're drug dealers coming after them. It's the most outlandish, unrealistic live-action show probably out there, right? You're bringing people back from the dead with a fucking cloth, you know, hunting for gold, all of this shit. These niggas are an expert in pretty much everything, right? They know how to drive any boat. They know how to scuba dive. So if you're in this way of thinking that OBX was like just too unrealistic or too convenient, you had no business watching the show anyway, right? You go to all these other shows that are, you know, action and adventure to the tier of Outer Banks, I guarantee you most of them don't even look as good as this with the effects and everything like that. Everything looked really, really well. I think a lot of the stuff that they pulled off this season is hard to do in live action. And I think they did that perfectly. In my personal opinion, everything was perfect. The mountain of rocks falling down, the car falling into the water, I love that scene. And that was just one of many, you know? When they're in the hurricane, going into the water, how the boats are moving, it looks good. All of it looks really realistic. Well, not realistic, but you know what I mean, for the show. It looks good, like it doesn't look off, the storm doesn't look bad, the environments look good. You know, everything just looked cinematically pleasing. You know, I could really appreciate when a show goes above and beyond with a lot of the effects and, you know, a lot of the scenarios that are bringing in that are hard to replicate in live action, and they pull it off. I'm a fan. I'm there for it. I love an outlandish show from time to time, right? It's not all that I'm gonna watch, but the drama was good, the storyline's entertaining. Like, you just have to understand what you're watching so you can differentiate all of these, you know, ideas like, oh, this is so unrealistic, this, that, and the third. Bro, you're not watching reality TV, like I said. You're watching a fictitious show, right? If this was a book, this would be a really interesting book, right? So yeah, man, that's just my take on Outer Banks. I think they finished off the season strong. You know, I'm glad that they finished it because if they kept this going, it would have been a bit repetitive because it's like, you know, a big adventure after big adventure. So I think they finished it, but it is a bittersweet ending because I'm gonna miss this show coming out. Like, I always look forward to the next season. So it's a bit sad that it's gone, but, you know, it's definitely a rewatchable show. Like, I'm definitely going to rewatch the show at some point in time. But yeah, I'm interested to know what you guys thought of this season. Did you like it, hate it? You know, was it mid? What do you guys think in the comment section down below? Like and subscribe. Hype the video if you feel like it. Till next time, peace.